Story.
Hi everybody, in this video I want to talk about, Baldur's Gate 3. And if you are a Diablo player and you already played in Diablo 4 and you thought about maybe to play Baldur's Gate 3, well, this video is for you.
Finish what I started. Death's design will be complete.
Well, first of all, we need to lay some of the foundation, right? So, for example, in terms of perspective, Baldur's Gate 3 is a top-down isometric role-playing game, where Diablo games, in general, typically viewed from a fixed isometric perspective. In terms of gameplay style, Baldur's Gate 3 is a party-based RPG that emphasizes on story, character development, and tactical combat, where the Diablo games are action RPGs with strong focus on fast-paced hack-and-slash combat. Also, we need to remember that Baldur's Gate 3 is a turn-based game compared to Diablo, of course, which is a real-time action RPG game. Now, in terms of storytelling, Baldur's Gate 3 features a rich, branching narrative with complex characters and moral choices that can significantly impact the story. Diablo games tend to have simpler storylines, often centered around defeating a major antagonist. In terms of exploration, Baldur's Gate 3 offers a vast open-world environment with exploration, quests, and interaction with various NPCs. In general, Diablo games before was usually feature linear progression through levels and randomly generated dungeons, although again Diablo 4 changed it, introducing an open world. Now, in terms of character development, Baldur's Gate 3 provides extensive character customization with a wide range of classes, races, even subclasses, abilities, and skills. Diablo games offer character customization through selecting classes and acquiring new abilities, but with a more streamlined approach. In terms of multiplayer, Baldur's Gate 3 supports cooperative multiplayer, allowing players to join together in shared campaign. Diablo games in general have traditionally focused on online multiplayer, often with competitive modes like player versus player or cooperative play. In terms of loot system, Baldur's Gate 3 has a loot system similar to traditional tabletop RPGs, where equipment is obtained through quests, exploration, and defeating enemies. Diablo games have heavy emphasis on loot drops from enemies with randomized stats and rarity levels. In terms of world interaction, Baldur's Gate 3 offers a high degree of environmental interaction, allowing players to manipulate objects, solve puzzles, and use environment strategically in combat. Diablo games typically have limited environmental interaction, and in terms of difficulty and challenge, Baldur's Gate 3 provides a challenging experience with tactical combat, complex mechanics, and a focus on strategy. Diablo games generally have a faster paced combat style and focus more on reflexes and item optimization. In terms of art style, Baldur's Gate 3 features a realistic and detailed art style with an emphasis on immersive visuals and atmospheric environments. Diablo games, generally speaking, often have a darker Gothic-inspired art style with a more stylized approach. Again, when I played Diablo 4, I got to a point where, the end game, before the seasons come, of course, it was pretty boring. And just waiting for this particular drop and doing the same thing proved itself to be really a boring game loop to some degree. And of course, the focus is going to be as a game as a service, where seasons actually provide, the more exotic and unique and new content for you to enjoy. Some like it, some don't. Now again, the thing is that I'm really kind of, let's say, addicted to this type of, action games, real-time games, because they give me, fast gratification. And again, in a very, very busy lifestyle, sometimes when I play a slower game, I feel that, it's too slow because my mind is just racing. I want to enjoy now. I want it now and now and now. And I feel like, I don't have the patience to really enjoy a slower paced game. But in that process, I'm losing so much what actually made me enjoy playing games, that I remember playing more in the past, where in modern games I feel that they're somewhat lacking. Just think, absorb, totally be immersed, have the time to look around and enjoy, for example, the environment that developers have crafted. Just take my time, enjoy the combat, really micromanage it. Enjoy really a large selection of spells and weapons, many classes and subclasses like we have in Baldur's Gate 3. So again, when I observe and look and check gameplay and read more about Baldur's Gate 3, the more I learn what I seen how bare bone Diablo 4 feels compared to that game. And generally speaking, actually, Baldur's Gate 3 for me reminds me more of an MMO. Like, for example, when I play Final Fantasy Realm Reborn, Final Fantasy 14 Realm Reborn, again, this is not a turn-based, but it allows me to have a large selection of of spells and items, which kind of stand more in line with what Baldur's Gate 3 has compared to what Diablo 4 has. Now, I know many players love the Diablo 4 lore, but again, there are many other players who just don't care about it, just rush everything, skip all the cutscenes, and basically just rushing and I don't see Diablo 4 as a competitive game, but of course in Season there's going to be competitive aspect when there's a PvP, of course, which I didn't play a lot either. But again, you just feel that, I'm going to mention something with Diablo Immortal. I was playing with, a few other players, and at some point we're just rushing around for hours and hours just to get Relu, the legendaries, just in circles. But they continue, but at some point I told myself, what am I actually doing? This is just so stupid. I just couldn't even see myself. Why am I actually doing it? What the fun in actually of this gameplay loop that I'm actually doing right now that actually is fun? I just couldn't. Of course I got bored, but it just felt so... Eventually I just stopped, and one of the reasons why I stopped playing Diablo Immortal. And with all due respect to my time, I felt that, well, this is not the way that I'm going to play the game. I didn't even felt that at some point that I'm playing a game. I'm just kind of in an addicting loop that I just couldn't stop. And eventually I thought, this is actually quality time that I'm actually having right now? Well, no. So I just left other players who played. They will continue running in circles, maybe for days and days. I just stopped and I never came back to that game. Now again, many years ago when I did play lots of this game, turn-based game and adventure games, I remember being so immersed and remember actually those moments when I see, for example, just images. I remember, for example, really enjoying, getting into a bar, observing it. There was a bard playing, interacting with it. And many of the games, by the way, back then were point and click type of games, which I still remember until today. And the reason for that, again, because I took my time to observe the environment, to interact, to think, it's really felt like something else that in some ways I can recognize that I actually lost it in many of current modern action games, which I got totally addicted to, and this is the games that I play the most. Now, aside from that, in Diablo 4, the developer, in my opinion, made huge mistakes when it comes to, for example, inventory management, where if I want to, continue progressing with one character, my inventory is going to be full anyway. So when I start another character, it's going to be very hard for me to keep some of the... Anyway, they make it very, very hard for try different type of builds for a certain class, let alone trying other classes and have space for all the gear that you want to use for different type of builds later on. And most probably the reason for that is just this wasn't the focus. They thought that maybe people are going to do one class and that's about it. They're going to do season anyway, and that's the focus of the game. This is where the money will continue flowing into the developer, to developers' pockets, and maybe this is the reason. And yeah, eventually bottom line is that I just wasn't motivated to try another class. Unless I'm going to drop the other class, delete my inventory, and just focus on that other class. I didn't want to do that, and that's why, well, I thought that it's going to be a bad idea, and decided just to stop doing it until season comes, and I'm going to try to see how good this season is, whether I want to continue even playing the game or not. But it's important to note that games like Baldur's Gate 3 will require you to, I heard players saying that it's not a must, know the, for example, the Dragon Dungeon 5, for example, 5 rules. But it's important to have some foundations to understand it, in my opinion, to play it. It's not a must, and you can learn, as you go. But, reading a short, maybe handbook just before, playing the game, knowing how the core gameplay works. And also lots of videos that can summarize it perfectly in a very short time will help you get started. And I think doing so and just jumping into a new game that you maybe not to your, taste, but you thought about it because, again, you saw... I know many players, by the way, that really wanted Baldur's Gate 3 to be a real-time action RPG game like Diablo. They thought it was going to be amazing with all the depth that it has. But from either way, the developer, again, they thought about adding, the pause option, but eventually they decided to skip it and just go to turn-based game. Probably, again, this might introduce some other problems, and they're already, familiar with the turn-based from previous games, so they just decided to go with, with this option, and that's about it. I think many of the players who do enjoy playing games like that will prefer playing it as a turn-based. But again, having another option probably going to be a great idea, but it's not going to be in the game. But I can definitely feel that players are going to come from Diablo 4 into, again, like Baldur's Gate, with this great gratification of immediate kills, lots of enemies, and, with the music, everything's just pumping, and going to jump into a game like Baldur's Gate 3. I think just in the character creation, which is actually something that players are going to spend a lot of time in, unlike, for example, like Diablo 4, which I didn't really care, just randomize it and that's it. You're gonna, need to spend time, what we are actually doing. Now, if you really want to get in depth, there's actually a book called a D&D Player's Handbook. This is the Bible for D&D and highly recommended by many, many players. But again, keep in mind, this is really in depth. If you want to just a short version, you want to summarize things, just know things quickly, just check out some videos on YouTube for beginners. There are plenty of them that will kind of try to, take the core thing that you need to know without all the in-between and the noise, and just the core things. You can just even write it down for yourself, so remember when the game launches. Now, I have to admit that even before that, I was watching their panel of hell, which was amazing. Everybody wearing different kind of costume. They're really into the game. That allows you to really be immersed with the world, with the lore, with everything. And yeah, it's great. Sometimes I really want to dive into a fantasy world and totally forget about reality. And when I was watching their, panel of hell, I was able to do so. And I actually got an email. I subscribed to the email, and reading all this amazing stuff about the classes, about the subclasses, and all the effort they actually put into making such a polished game is just unbelievable. And again, sometimes I prefer playing a single game than maybe even several games, but a game that they can be totally immersed in. You know what I mean? Like when you play the game, you're forget about everything else. You're just inside that game and experiencing a new world. I'm just saying it, and I just want to dive in. And I'm looking forward to play the monk class as well, that you see here. But Bard, I always favored Bard. It's going to be one of my party for sure. So you can see here the launch classes and subclasses. So this is content. This is content. It's not fake content. This is content. And look at this image. It actually reminds me of the first time that I went into a great adventure and wasn't a turn-based game. It was with Elden Ring. The moment I opened the door and I saw this vast world. Oh, Elden Ring. Elden Ring is by far the most immersive action RPG game that I play, by far. That's what I want. I was totally immersed with that game. So you can see all of it. I want to experience it, and I don't mind being slow. I want to think about what I do. I want to get my time, sit even just, have something to drink and eat, and think about things that I'm going to do. So again, the reason I'm seriously thinking and most probably gonna get the game is because I really want that moment, those moments where I think, I observe, I let myself totally be immersed with the environment, take my time, and I really enjoy the in-depth combat, the classes, the subclasses, all this micromanagement, like in a really entertaining puzzle game, a different look at the combat. And by the way, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy turn-based combat, and I play plenty of turn-based combat, but again, they were much less comprehensive compared to Baldur's Gate 3. And again, if you don't want something that feels, is difficult, you're searching for a more casual, well, I can understand you. It's fine. Everybody have their own reasons. But I really think that as an adventure, it's going to be a really great adventure to dive into. When I play games like that, or played games like that in the past, I really felt like I'm watching like a great movie, where I sit back and, for example, like Lord of the Rings. It allows me to really be immersed with everything in a relatively slower pace like this, because again, like in a movie, again, the story builds itself slowly and you don't get to the action straight away. You're just being part of a very immersive experience that I didn't get with Diablo 4 and in many other games, modern games, and I have high confidence that I'm going to get it when I play Baldur's Gate 3. Now, I want to hear your opinion. If you are like me, really love action RPG, love the immediate gratification, the combat, the fast pace, and you also thinking about getting into this game, which is much more comprehensive in terms of all the spells and builds you can create, classes and subclasses, and the amazing world and the ability to just view it, of course, from all direction, and very, very detailed open world games you can enjoy. But one thing that I learned from many other type of games is switching back and forth different type of genres and type of games. Give it time. give you time to adjust. Thanks for watching.